right. So today we're going to be talking about something that I've been talking to a lot of fellas recently about. How do you get it all done? That's the question, right? How do you be productive? I don't know if any of you have ever thought about or ever felt like you're overwhelmed because you feel like you're struggling to get it all done. It seems like there's so many different, we wear so many different hats. We wear the father hat, we wear the husband hat, we wear the work hat, we got the side hustle hat. Some of us, we got a business hat. We got the hat of trying to stay healthy. We got the hat of our finances. Like there's so many different things we do. How do you get it all done? And sometimes we end up feeling very overwhelmed and stressed. And it seems like no matter how much work you do, it seems like nothing gets done. I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Or you're crushing it in one area of life, like you're doing really well at work, but maybe the relationships with the family aren't that well, or maybe your health isn't that good, or maybe you're doing really well in your health, but just your finances aren't doing good. How do you get it all done? And listen, I know how this feels. I can remember, at one point in my life being so overwhelmed because I had all these hats and it seemed like nothing was getting done, but I was just working all the time. I was working hard, but nothing's getting done. And so I know exactly how you feel. But here's the main point I need to share with you today. This is the main point. We're just going to jump right into it because this is the main thing I need you to understand. This is the takeaway today. You need to slow down and plan. Slow down and plan. So many of us are moving so fast that we do not slow down and plan. And we don't have a plan for that specific hat that we're wearing for our life. If you think about it, one of the things that we get done all the time is work, right? We go to work or we work on our business, but we have a plan and we've got accountability in place because we've either got patients, we either got clients or customers or employees that we're, are either working for us or we have a job where we have some superior that's counting us on us being there. So like there's a plan and there's accountability, and so therefore we go to work and we work so many hours and we get things done. But think about it, we don't have that level of accountability and plan for other areas of our life, right? We don't have a fatherhood boss that says, hey man, you know what, if you don't if you don't spend time with these kids right now, like you get reprimanded, right? Like, and fellas, don't try to say that's your wife. That's not how it works. I'm telling you, know what I mean? Like, we just don't have bosses in each area of our life here, or we may not have the accountability or a plan. So we need to slow down and create a plan for these areas so that we can actually get them done. And it needs to be done with intention, and it needs to be done with having an idea of how you want that area of life to look. So before I get into how you slow down and plan, that will be able to help create some more productivity for you, decrease stress, decrease the feeling of being overwhelmed, to get more done in less time. I want you to think about applying what I'm talking about to specific areas of your life. I want you to think about applying this to your faith area of your life. I call these pillars. I call these the 7 pillars of peak performance, right? These are the pillars. You need to apply what I'm talking about to every pillar. And you need to apply it to the pillar that you are struggling most in, that you're looking to improve upon. So those 7 is, you need to apply it to your faith, your family life / marriage and kids, your health, your wealth, your career, clarity on your calling, and then just personal interests, things that you have, traveling, playing guitar, whatever the case may be. You need to have a plan for each of these things, but none of it will happen if you don't create a plan. This is the perfect time to talk about this, with this being, the beginning of the year. So here's how you slow down and plan. First thing you need to do is you need to take time daily to plan. You need to set aside time. You almost need to plan your plan. You need to plan out your plan. Like, you need to set aside time daily to look at what do you need to do. You see, so many of us are running so hard. I want you to think about it this way. We're running so hard and so fast, and we're like, I'm so busy. Can you do this? No, I'm so busy. Or, oh, can you add that? I'm so busy. I'm so busy. It's like running so fast, but we're not picking up our heads enough to see whether we're running in the wrong direction. What's the point of running so hard if we're running in the wrong direction? So, this planning time helps us to be effective and efficient. Real quick, before I even jump into this, there's a difference between being effective and being efficient. Okay. Efficient means, for example, if you're in sales, you could go knock door to door and you could develop a plan to be very efficient with knocking door to door. You can say, you know what, I can knock fast. I can knock only so many times. I can get to the house really fast if I run. I can do my presentation real fast and I can go to the next house. Or if I use a car, I'll be even that's being efficient. That's being, trying to be efficient with your time and process. But the real question is, are you being effective? Is this the most effective way to get the sales done? If there's a more effective way, like sitting in your house, getting a list of people to call, that is more effective. So effective is more about, are you doing the right thing? Are your tasks having the most, uh, uh, you know, return of investment? Efficiency just means I might be doing the wrong thing, but I'm doing it very well. Okay. So that's the two difference. You want to be effective and efficient. But really, first of all, you really want to be effective. Like, am I doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing? So that's really going to have the best return of investment with the time that I'm putting in. So first thing we got to do, like I said, we got to take time to plan daily. And that means every morning looking at what you have to do for the day. Just taking time to say, hey, this is basically setting aside time, setting a container of time. This could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the morning, but it has to be some consistent level of time that you're just setting aside to plan. And then there also needs to be weekly time, time that at the beginning of every week, whether it's Sunday or Monday, you sit and look and say, what's this week going to look like? But the first step is just setting aside the time. The next step is, when you're in that time, you have to ask yourself specific questions that's going to help you get to the conclusion of what you need to do to be effective and efficient. So once you're in that time, you need to ask, like, what is the most effective use of my time in this area of my life? What is the most effective use of my time in what I'm trying to do in my faith? What is the most effective use of my time? What You have to ask that in different areas, right? In my faith, what is the most effective use of my time? Is it prayer? Reading the Bible? Like, that's a real effective use of your time. If it's church, but you gotta answer that. You can be able to answer that question. You gotta ask it first so you can come to the answer. What's the most effective use of my time for my business? Right? Uh, 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 you know, Another way to ask that question is, what's the best next step that I need to take right now that will make my next step easier? What is the best next step that I need to take right now that will make my next step easier? What's the one domino that I can push over right now that would have the most effectiveness to push over the other dominoes? Right? It's a great concept. Talked about that in a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. He's got a co-author, but I can't remember who the co-author is. I remember Keller because he's the owner of Keller Williams. He's the Keller of Keller Williams. Okay. He talks about that concept in the book, The One Thing. What's the best next step to take? What's the best domino that would be easiest for me to push that would create momentum further on? You got to ask yourself these questions. Okay. The other question you need to ask is, particularly when you're looking at your weekly time, you look back and you say, what worked and what didn't work last week in this area, in this pillar of my life? What worked and what did not work last week? If you tried something new in your business, you say, did it work? This is time of reflection. You're kind of, reflecting on what you did last week. And then you also ask the question, how can I improve? How can I improve? What worked? What didn't work? How can I improve this week? Once you get in the groove of this, it's not going to take a bunch of time. But here's the problem. When we don't take this time, when we don't invest this time, it'll come back to bite us later in terms of us running so hard in the wrong direction. Let me just tell you, that whole running so fast and being so busy in the wrong direction, I like to say that busyness is just a sophisticated form of laziness. Because if we're so busy, we can't, look up to see if we're not doing the right thing, where really we're just being lazy and trying to put our head in the sand and not think about the fact that maybe we're doing something wrong and make ourselves feel better about just being busy about work. That's not what it's about. We got to be effective and we have to be efficient with our time. It's how we become productive. Okay. Last thing we need to do is once we answer those questions, we execute. Once we answer the questions, we execute. The cool part about execution is that you're going to be assessing this stuff on a weekly basis where you are. So you can look at the next week and be like, well, when I executed, what can I do better? Right? I tried to pray this week. It didn't get done. I tried to do it in the morning. Is it going to fit better at night? You can kind of assess and adjust and course correct over time as you implement this stuff. And what I believe. I mean, if you need some guidance on how this works and some clarity, talk to somebody who's successful in this area of life, right? Get some accountability. Find a coach, right? So that's how this works, guys. Take time to plan, set aside time, ask these questions, and then execute. And guess what? Rinse and repeat. Okay. Here's what you'll experience as a result of implementing this in your life. You'll experience less stress. You'll be less overwhelmed. And you will be more effective, leading to more productivity. Let me make this crystal clear. The time I'm talking about right now to plan is probably the most effective use of your time, period. Look, I'm going to be real. Outside of prayer and spending time with God, which is to me just getting the most clarity that you possibly can, getting you grounded, getting you fulfilled, getting you right. This time of planning is probably the most effective use of your time. You're getting the most out of it because now you're seeing if you're going in the right direction, not just working hard for the sake of working hard. My God, I need to work smarter, not harder. And so do you. Okay.